Esparza,
Here.
Perales,
Here.
Diep,
Present.
Foley,
Here.
Camus.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll go on to, oh gosh, I'm having so much trouble with this. Forgive me, trying to bring up both things. The city manager's report.
Actually, I just logged on, but did you do the review of the work plan?
Okay, no, I'm having trouble bringing up the agenda. I apologize.
Okay,
Give me a second here.
I can fill a little bit if you like. There's 4 items on there.
Yeah.
Per the rules meeting, we're adding the Human Services Commission work plan and the Arts Commission work plan, which you'll hear today. We're dropping the item about cannabis land use, which will be rescheduled for the next work plan in spring of 2021. And then we're deferring the electronic billboards item by 1 month to our November meeting.
Okay. Good Lord. Does any,
Chair, I had a question about one of those items. I raised
Okay.
my hand. So whenever you're ready.
I don't know why I'm hearing so many echoes. Maybe it's my computer today. But go ahead, Councilmember Esparza.
So I had a question about cannabis, the deferral. And so I wanted staff to speak to that item on cannabis being deferred. I know that was discussed at rules, but I wanted to have a discussion about the deferral today.
Sure, I can happy to go over the reasons for the deferral, which were in the memo that went to rules, as you said. So the first is because of COVID-19, the stakeholder outreach that we had to do related to the land use and regulatory proposals has not happened because the planning staff was assigned to the EOC. We do plan to conduct the outreach in January. So the outreach was just deferred by several months due to EOC. The annual cannabis business application renewal period, is October 14th through December 14th. The police department and code enforcement have been focused on creating new procedures for this review, and especially the on-site inspection process during the pandemic. So that work is underway. The cannabis equity team that we established in the city manager's office for the cannabis equity application program, which, these two work together. That staff, we also had to divert to the Census 2020 effort. So it just hasn't been practical. There hasn't been a real need to start that work, but that work will be delayed. And then also, and probably most importantly, the cannabis division is still accepting applications for new businesses in the areas of manufacturing, distribution, and testing. But we'd want the council to know that no new businesses have completed the application process through the pandemic, and we haven't received many calls showing interest in opening up new retail or delivery locations. For a variety of reasons, we are going to plan on reporting in the spring in the next CED about both of the cannabis related priorities.
It looks like you're muted.
Yeah, I said, okay, thank you.
All right, great. I have a Councilman Perales that has his hand up as well. Councilman Perales, can you unmute?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And I think, I just wanted to highlight the same issue as well. And no doubt, clearly, we did not expect everything that's happened this year to have happened. But I think one of the things we just have to remember is that few industries are actually doing well, if not even better than maybe pre-COVID. Sorry, that's my dog. And so I think that what's important to note is obviously our cannabis industry is doing well, and we continue to outpace sort of other areas, especially when we've seen some of our neighboring cities not take up the opportunities of cannabis sales and distribution. And so, but I recognize the challenge here that what we face is really just the staff allocation and their time and their priorities. So I just want to ensure though that we're realizing that this is one of those few places where we can continue to generate much needed revenues for our city services. And so hope that we can get back on track with this priority. Thanks.
Yes.
Okay, after Councilmember Perales is Councilmember Foley. I want to speak on this item.
That makes three of us who are interested in seeing this go forward. Last year, when I brought this through under priority, it was approved with a large percentage of the council members putting it on their priority list. And I remember at the time, someone said, maybe from the public or the council, that priority setting is where things go to die. And I'm frankly feeling a little bit that this is going to priority setting, it's going to die. I understand that COVID is an issue and staffing resources is an issue, but if I look at this historically, this was supposed to come to us last year, later in the fall, and it didn't. It got delayed for some reason. So I appreciate that resources are limited right now, but I hope that we will put it on the front right now, particularly as Councilmember Perales said, it's a revenue stream. And while we may not be seeing individuals who are coming in with testing licenses or the other three businesses, the priority memo that I brought in was related to expanding where these distribution centers could be and not just focused on warehouses and heavily situated in District 7 so that we could open, in District 4, so we could open them up in other parts of the city. So I'm just emphasizing what's already been said by Councilmember Perales and Esparza that we need to move forward with this. I certainly understand, but I hope that we're not going to see much more of a delay past the early part of next year.
Yeah,
Thank
so I appreciate that, and we hear you that it's important, and I've shared with you staff's intent. However, I just want to also remind you, as Kip Harkness has shared under 3.1, we will, between now and the end of the year, be sharing with you the citywide roadmap priorities. So you will have an opportunity to look at, at everything, including previously directed council policy priority work, and give us a sense of how it fits with other work that has come up this year. So we will be engaging you on these important questions. So.
Great, thank you.
And I see Councilmember Perales. Do you still have your hand up, or you still want to speak, or are you? Was it up?
No, I'm sorry. I'll take it down.
Okay. So I similarly have some concerns. Now, Kim, don't we collect money from these establishments to actually basically have dedicated staff members to the needs and the regulatory? Don't we have regulatory staff basically funded by the cannabis industry? And if they're being diverted, are we allowed to collect the money that we're collecting from them?
Yes, you're correct, council member. So the staff is there to play their regulatory function. However, when we do this policy work, it also often requires the work of other departments, like in this case, planning, building, code enforcement. And in the case of the equity program staff from the city manager's office and the Office of Economic Development.
I see. And is there a way, I mean, I think that the memo wasn't too clear about what month it's going to come back to the council. Obviously, I'll be off in a couple of months. Is there any way we could try to move it to December or something? I'd like to weigh in on this before I leave office, if at all possible.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry that's not possible, because to have something on the, December work plan, CED meeting means the work has to be, done by early November. So what we'd be looking at is, there's a process of setting the CED, the 6-month work plan for this committee, which goes from January to June of 2021. So yeah, we really regret that you won't be here with us, but we will be developing that work plan in December. So we will run it by you as the chair, and we'll pick the timing in that January to June period that assures you that there'll be enough progress done that it makes the time of the committee worthwhile engaging with the staff. But we'll have it as early in 2021 as we can.
Yeah, and I like the other council members said. I mean, this was voted as a priority. This was something that should have been done before COVID, and quite frankly, I think we should be getting it done in January, if not, obviously I wanted it done sooner, but I'm hoping that staff can actually get something going because it is providing significant revenues, and I think that if we were to work with these folks, we may be able to get even more revenues. So I did not hear a motion to approve the shifts in the on the work plan. Can I get a motion from somebody on the committee?
Move approval?
Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right. Tony, do we take roll call
Yes.
on this?
Yes, Esposa,
Yes.
Perez,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Aye.
Camus. Thank you.
You know what? I just noticed there was somebody that had his hand up or her hand up. It's initials JT. I don't know if they wanted to speak on this item or because their hand just came up. Can we unmute JT to see if he or she wants to speak on the work plan?
Thanks to the staff. I think this is a clear example of unacceptable performance. This is not personal, this is a business. And you're hearing from your city council that this should have already been done. Well, I'm not hearing a great sense of urgency. So to all the staff, this is going to happen the way it is, but we should avoid this in the future.
Okay, I think that concludes JT's comments, and I think it's already been voted upon. But does anybody want to reconsider their vote? Say aye. All right. Well, we'll move on to our next item, which is I think your report, Kim.
Actually, you have two items on the consent calendar, right? So the Human
the
Services
consent
Commission
calendar.
work plan and the Arts
Yeah.
Commission work plan, which were just added, are on the consent calendar for your approval. This is their annual report from last fiscal year and then their work plan for this fiscal year.
My
Move
apologies.
approval.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Now, there's no further comment on that. It looks like Mr. Beekman has his hand up. Let's go to Mr. Beekman. And Kim, before we go to Mr. Beekman, when I thought we were moved, okay, never mind. The consent calendar, I thought we moved it all together instead of one item at a time, but that's fine. Let's go to Mr. Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, the schedule is a little confusing today, and I'm trying to hang back as much as I can. So, but I'm here now. Hi. I just wanted to, offer my praise to the Human Rights Commission and the work they do. It's kind of great work that they do, incredible work they do. They were, working on equity issues and women's issues, domestic violence issues, for the past few years now, if not several. And, it's just a real great place if a person needs to go to want to speak, wants to figure things out and understand how good practices can work. I really recommend to visit their commission meetings and what they work on. They're going to have their hands full with new equity ideas and what could be good practices for a community, for a whole community, not just part of a community. So good luck in those efforts to them. And about the Arts Commission, good luck. I know you're promoting some sort of proposition or bond or some way that there can be an arts, funding. And good luck on those efforts. There may have been a bit of a mix-up a few years ago with arts and technology, and that may have got a bit confused in the downtown area. And I hope you're working to sort that out if it was an issue and a problem. And I hope the answers you're working towards right now are doing that to separate these sorts of subjects and have clear boundaries and lines and all that good stuff. So thank you for this item and happy end of October, and nice to have this meeting. Thanks for the meeting today.
Okay, I think Councilmember Perales put his hand up. Is this on this item or the next one, Councilmember Perales?
No, it was on this one. I just wanted to echo Blair's comments and appreciate the work of the Human Services Commission and all they've been doing. So I thank you, Blair, for following that. And then do we have a motion yet? If not, I'll move to approve consent.
We do have a motion and a
great.
second.
Thank you.
And we'll go to Tony for a roll call vote.
Esparza,
Yes.
Perales,
Sorry, yes?
yep,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Chemist.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Kim, I think I'm on the right page now. Now it's your turn with the reports on your verbal report from economic development activities.
Yeah, so thank you. Actually, and it's not my turn. It's Nancy Klein, who's now the Director of Economic Development, and Elizabeth Handler, who's the Communications Director there. So Elizabeth and Nancy.
Yes, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Camus and committee members. I am pleased to present the November SJ Economy News. Is it up on the screen? Can you see it?
No,
No?
not my screen.
Okay,
Anybody else?
good. Thank you. I'm glad I checked. How about now?
Now we can.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Thanks so much. Okay, so for November, we will, I will track you through the articles that we have up. The first was our announcement of the counties moving into the orange tier for of the state's framework for a safe opening of our economy, which is a significant step forward, with most indoor businesses now being allowed to operate, along with the safety protocols in place. So we're happy to have that going, and that expanded our alfresco program, as you realize. And there are issues, but we're working through that and looking forward to additional openings without spreading the pandemic any further. We have a series of announcements this month regarding things that the city is doing to help businesses through the time of COVID. One of them is the extension of the business tax financial hardship exemption, which allows businesses to take a break from paying their business tax for a period of time if they are being unduly impacted by the pandemic. We also have some environmental services that relate to our businesses. One is a swift and easy online way to comply with the dreaded fat control regulations to keep our drains and sewers clear. Another is the business loans to help with energy saving updates that are being offered now. Zero interest micro loans for businesses to make the investment into energy savings. And then part of that is also an incentive program for EV charging station installations in San Jose. So a package of nice things that the city is being able to offer to our business community during the time of COVID. And as always, we urge everyone to go to the Team San Jose website, visit San Jose to take advantage of all the online events and services that are being offered now. And that ends the report. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we have one member of the public who wants to speak on this, Blair Beekman.
Hi. I just wanted to remind with small business issues that there's different funding sources to look at and look forward to. My concerns, I tend to look at a bigger, broader picture and looking into next year, small businesses are going to need a lot of help. And I just wanted to remind that we need to be open to the work at the state level and their funding sources and patterns. And I don't know what the term is, the funding systems are developing at the state level. They're important. And we have to be open to them at the local level and respect what they can help us with next year, because there's going to be some problems. And so I just thought I'd say that now just to get us ready. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going back to our council. We had Councilmember Perales that raised his hand. Councilmember Perales?
No, sorry, that was just from before. I'll take it down.
Okay. Well, we don't need a vote to accept this report. We'll move on to item number 2.
Chair, I'm sorry. I think there's a JT from the public speaker may want to talk. Oh, he put his hand down. Thank you.
Oh, I didn't see his hand go up. I apologize if
Okay.
I made a mistake. Okay, so I guess we'll go on to item number 2. So let me click back here. Item number 2 is the Housing Crisis Work Plan update. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, council members. Jared Ferguson, the Housing Catalyst with the Office of Economic Development, joined with Rachel Vanderveen, Deputy Director of the Housing Department, and Michael Brio, Deputy Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. I don't know, are we getting the slides up? Or is that up to me to share? Or?
Yeah.
I think it's up to you to share, but
Okay, didn't know that. All right. Okay, is that working now? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, so as a reminder, our Housing Crisis Work Plan was adopted by the City Council in June of 2018 to facilitate the goal of 25,000 new housing units by 2023 with 15,000 market rate and 10,000 affordable units. We generally provide biannual updates to the Community Economic Development Committee on progress implementing the policy items and projects contained in the work plan. However, this is our first update in 2020. So as a reminder, at our last update in late 2019, high construction costs were the major obstacle to the construction of new market rate housing, and this really continued into early 2020. With the onset of the pandemic, we've seen rents decline. This has been especially the case in Class A apartment buildings. And so this has led to increased continued uncertainty in the market. So these current conditions are likely to make it difficult for new projects to move forward in the interim. However, in conversations that we've had with the community, there's still confidence in San Jose that we'll be able to bounce back quickly once the situation improves. But it'll also be really important that we continue to move any applications through the process so that they can obtain an entitlement so that they're ready to go. So we have those units ready to start once the situation improves. So and this next chart just kind of gives you a visual on kind of the declining rent and vacancy rate. This goes back to 2015, but into 2020, you can see the increase in vacancy is now at about 8.2%. And rent overall in San Jose has decreased about 5.8%. As I mentioned, this has been most dramatic in Class A, and which has decreased about 10.2%.
All right. Thank you, Jared. And I'm Rachel Vanderveen, and I'm going to jump in and help out with the presentation as well. So in front of you is the chart that we have been using to track our progress towards our goals that have been set for housing production. This is a point in time capture of progress towards our goals. You can see that in the columns, we have the first column is capacity for additional housing that has been made through policy work. So an example of this would be increasing building heights and adding urban villages to the general plan, which actually create more capacity for housing. And then across, you can see different points in time that we are capturing based on the development process. So we have planning approvals, building permits, and then also occupancy permits. And throughout time, what we can show you is progress that's made both for market rate and affordable, which we have goals for each of those categories. What I want to highlight to you in this update is if you take a look at the affordable development in both the planning approvals and the building permits, you can see that from the 2019 to the 2020 numbers, there is an increase. And this is really, we are encouraged by seeing what we different developments that are coming through both the preliminary applications, but also the planning applications and moving into building permits for affordable housing. We feel that this is a reflection in developers responding to additional funds through Measure A and Measure E and different efforts that have been made by the city. And we're very encouraged by this. Additionally, I want to point out in the last column under occupancy, you can see the market rate number also bumped up, and that is a direct result of the grad opening up. And so that's a development we've been watching come through the process and received occupancy permits in the most recent period. Next slide, please.
Okay, this next slide pulls the data from the previous slide, and we're showing units that have received building permits. And this is important to track as it generally represents the start of new construction when a project pulls a building permit. So 2018 was tracking more typically with years previous, and 2019 was a little bit lower, but still around the average that we've seen. Into 2020, the blue bar there represents Q1 through Q3. So we've had 994 new units receiving building permits. In Q3, this was mainly driven by ADUs. The pink shaded area kind of represents if Q4 had the same number of average permits as the first 3 quarters. So if this continues, we're kind of looking at one of the lowest years since 2011 in terms of the number of permits for new units. So this is, an important metric that we want to keep an eye on moving forward, and kind of illustrates where we're at this year.
And this table shows a accumulation of our both affordable and market rate goals towards the ultimate goal that we have by the City Council to provide 15,000 new market rate and 10,000 new affordable units. So this chart adds up all of the progress that we've made, and then the bottom you can just see how we're tracking towards those goals. And as Jared was pointing out, the trend on the building permit side is definitely a trend that we're concerned about as we continue to push forward towards these goals. Next slide, please. So as you know, financing of affordable housing is critical in moving development forward. And fortunately, following COVID, affordable housing developers have been able to secure financing from banks to move forward with existing developments that they have been wanting to close financing on. However, over the past year, tax-exempt bond financing from the California Debt Limit Allocation, otherwise known as CDLAC, has been oversubscribed for the first time. Generally, before we had a process where it was an automatic, you would apply and you would receive the allocation. But because of the oversubscription statewide, it moved into a competitive process over the last year. The criteria that they had to use in order to make these decisions included a tiebreaker that's based on the total development cost, and the projects that were coming from San Jose did not compete as well as those from Southern California due to the total development cost that's generally higher in our area. And so an example of this is our West San Carlos development is now seeking funding for a third time from CDLAC. Each time an allocation is not granted, months are really lost in the development timeline. CDLAC understands that there are issues with the scoring criteria. They created a working group over the past year to take a look at the challenges and differences between north and south and other issues they also considered. And they're bringing forward new guidelines for the coming year. Part of these guidelines will include a regional allocation so that projects are competing within a region versus north and south. And hopefully, we're hopeful that that can address some of the challenges that San Jose developments have seen. We are expecting the new regulations to come in place in 2021, and we'll continue to track this issue. And really what we're asking for all of you is support in any intergovernmental actions that we may need to address this issue going forward. Next slide, please.
Okay, something we wanted to highlight on kind of the more positive side, I think, has been kind of our success with state streamlining. So that was enabled through the passage of SB 35 in 2017 and AB 2162 in 2018. As a reminder, SB 35 requires at least 50% of units be affordable on a property, and properties must be zoned or have a general plan designation that allows housing. These AB 2162 must contain permanent supportive housing, and the property must be zoned already for housing. In both of these streamlined processes, it's a ministerial approval. So they're exempted from CEQA and approved by the Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. So we've had 4 SB 35 projects in 2020 with a total of 324 units. And we've had 3 AB 2162 projects with a total of 302 units. Staff is currently reviewing 5 additional projects that are going for streamlining with 826 affordable units.
We also wanted to provide an update on policy work that was completed over the past several months as a part of our response to the COVID pandemic. So included in that, the City Council passed an eviction moratorium, a moratorium on rent increases, and also provide rental assistance in over $25 million cumulatively through several different actions. All of these actions provide stability to our residents throughout this pandemic and have been high priorities for our policy team over the last several months. Next slide. Additionally, over just recently, actually, since from September until now, there's been some real critical accomplishments that we wanted to share. So first, a commercial linkage fee was passed on September 22, establishing a new source of funding for affordable housing. And this policy connects the creation of new jobs and commercial space with the need for affordable housing. Over the summer, there was a new webpage that was launched providing resources to developers that centralize a whole lot of information all in one place and is very easy and handy for people to use. Staff was also successful in negotiating a lease with Caltrans to develop a bridge housing community site at Felipe Road. And additionally, building on that work and that relationship, the city was able to lease a second site with Caltrans at Rue Ferrari for an emergency interim housing site. And finally, on September 22nd, the City Council adopted all 10 recommendations proposed in the citywide residential anti-displacement strategy.
So I'm going to go ahead and give some updates on state legislative bills that the governor signed. So the first one I think you've already heard about is SB 940, which was sponsored by Senator Bell and the city of San Jose. That bill provides the city with flexibility in meeting the no net loss requirements of SB 330. And this bill really came about because we started to realize as we're thinking about rezoning land in Coyote Valley that's currently zoned for single family homes by the city manager, Dutch Hammond, back in the 60s, that we had this logistical problem of having to upzone elsewhere in the city. So that bill passed, and we can now bank upzoning capacity to then downzone in other areas of the city consistent with our general plan. There was also AB 1851, which is Assemblyman Wicks out of Berkeley. This allows a religious institution to develop affordable housing, even if the new housing project reduced the available parking for the religious use beyond what is required in a city's ordinance or below. So, you know, that's generally good news. The other bill that did not go forward, unfortunately, was the Yigbee bill, which would allow religious or assembly uses to build affordable housing on a portion on some of their land. So that's work, as you may recall, that's part of our new housing, our updated housing crisis work program to explore how we could allow that, how we could allow assembly uses to actually provide low-income housing on their property. So this is tied to that, but it's not the full scope that we were hoping for. And then another bill that passed is AB 2345, which expands density bonus law to increase the maximum allowable density bonus and increases the number of incentives and concessions a developer can seek. Just as a note, is there was a lot of housing bills that were moving forward. This is going to be seen, or supposed to be another year of the housing bill. And because of COVID and for other reasons, many of them did not make it to the governor's desk. Even though in some cases they were both assigned by the assembly or voted on in the assembly and the Senate, they ran out of time and didn't make it to the governor's desk. Next slide. So I think, as you're all aware, we're currently conducting a general plan 4-year review with a whole host of scoping items, and we're working with a 42-member task force on developing recommendations for those. In case you're interested, by the way, Coyote Valley will be on the agenda this coming Thursday night. So one of the items that the task force, we've already discussed the task force, and they provided a recommendation is allowing housing in neighborhood business districts. So we actually have a number of neighborhood business districts. Some of them are urban village plans, so this is not really an issue per se, but there are some that are not urban village plans. And the recommendation by both staff and the task force is to create a policy framework to allow housing to be integrated in these business districts. And that includes Kaye Willow, as well as Taylor Street in Japantown, 13th Street, and Lincoln Avenue, as well as as well as Story Road. Actually, I should mention Story Road is being recommended to become an urban village by the task force. So that was our recommendation, was allow housing there, but now it's being shifted to be a urban village, a full-on urban village. And then the other two general plan items are related to requirements for affordable housing. And we have two policies that that provide flexibility for affordable housing that market rate housing does not have. And both policies currently require affordable housing to provide some amount of replacement commercial. There's the first policy is policy 512, which allows affordable housing in urban villages to jump ahead when an urban village plan has not yet been approved by council. And staff has recommended that the affordable housing projects should still be required to provide some level of commercial, but they don't have to replace all of it. In other words, substantially is defined, and substantially is in the policy and general plan. It's defined as just replacing 50% of the of the commercial that was currently on site. And the idea being that these are commercial corridors, and the idea of an urban village is to integrate a mix of uses. And the task force didn't agree with that, and they're making a recommendation to just eliminate the requirement that affordable housing be required to provide any replacement commercial. The other policy is the 1.5 acre rule. Staff made a recommendation that given that the policy addresses underutilized pieces of commercial property, that affordable housing development not be required to replace any of the commercial that could be on the site, and the task force agreed with that recommendation. By the way, we'll be bringing a number of items related. We're going to be bringing the whole revision of the 1.5 acre rule to council in January that will include staff and the task force's recommendation related to commercial requirements, as well as other changes that we are proposing. We'll be bringing that to council in January. Regarding the residential cost of development, the last time, well, so starting about a couple of years ago, if you remember, the council had a real estate development 101 course that was taught by ULI, as well as we were conducting the urban village financing. We're putting that proposal together, and as part of that work, we did an analysis of the cost of residential development to understand, where is the residential development currently in the market in terms of going forward, where and under what circumstances. And so we did another one of those last November. And we're planning to update that in 2021. We have an RFP that will be selecting a consultant to provide these regular updates. So we'll be doing these on I believe it's an annual basis or every 2-year basis, just so we can understand what policy levers, fees, ordinances, et cetera, that we have that we could pull to sort of make an impact on housing development and what that looks like. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Jared.
Thanks. So one other item, which was an early item in our work plan, was to develop a tool to help identify sites for new housing. In this August, we've launched what we're calling San Jose Housing Site Explorer. And you can see the webpage up there. It combines a lot of different data sets into one location. That we believe can be a helpful tool to try to help identify opportunities for where housing redevelopment might be a good opportunity for. Kind of phase 2 of that, we're working to continue to improve it to even be a little bit more predictive in terms of what sites might be best situated for new housing. So we're going to continue to refine that and to try to really keep pushing it out there for people to try and test out, and also interested in getting feedback to find out what might be missing or what might be needed. But we're excited to keep moving ahead with this. Moving forward, new units in North San Jose has been a major policy goal and the focus of ongoing work in our housing crisis work plan since the beginning. Previously, staff had proposed abandoning our previous strategy of modifying the phasing in the existing North San Jose development policy. Staff has continued down this pathway throughout 2020, but we're now also recommending that the city take the required steps to retire the area development policy. The first step in that process, which is going on now, is to continue work with Santa Clara to outline issues and concerns and move forward with amendments to the settlement agreement through mediation. The next step in that is to transition the area development policy by amending the engineer's report to align the money collected and built transportation projects with development that's completed consistent with CEQA, and identify a strategy for any remaining capital projects the city wants to pursue. We will also need to amend the general plan and zoning code to facilitate further future development. This is underway and estimated to take 6 to 12 months. And then allowing commercial and residential projects to move forward with their own CEQA clearance under the development capacity in the city's general plan. And then kind of longer term, considering opportunities to do additional planning work that could include a program level VMT approach. So this work hasn't started yet, and we would anticipate it to take 12 to 36 months to fully explore. And then kind of the last ongoing item related to our downtown high-rise program. On August 25th, the council approved setting the IHO and lieu fee to $0 for high-rise in the downtown core. As kind of a reminder, projects to get the $0 fee amount must obtain a building permit by June 30, 2023, and obtain their certificate of occupancy by June 30, 2025. And then the fee scales up incrementally after June 2023 and ends in June 30, 2025. The council directed staff to explore options for extending the timeline of this program and look at applying it to high-rise development outside of the downtown core. So we're proposing to combine this effort with the planned update to the report on the cost of development that we, as Michael mentioned, we plan to do in 2021. There's a number of reasons. This allows us to really select the consultant through a normal process. When the last update was done, the consultant was selected through a unique services agreement. And so this would follow the normal process for selecting that consultant. Our update to the report on the cost of development is already budgeted in the current fiscal year. So, it fits within our work plan, and we already have the funding available to do that. And, staff, we would ensure that the report would analyze feasibility of high-rise construction in a variety of areas to allow council to make a decision on whether they, if the new high-rise was found to be infeasible, they could make a decision on whether to expand the program further and also to extend it. And then with that, we're available for any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the public before I go to my colleagues. Let's start with JT. And I know that there was a group of folks who wanted to do a quasi presentation.
Actually, Mr. Chair, that's for the next item.
For the next item? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's go to JT from the public. Go ahead, JT. You can unmute your microphone.
Hi, sorry. So related to housing, what I think would be excellent is for us to get ahead of the issue of having people pay back all this money that they're not going to be able to pay back. So it would be great to see something creative from the city. Perhaps you can offer landlords a tax deduction in the same amount, or I guess you could just flat out call it. But what we know for a fact is there are thousands or tens of thousands of people who are going to have an issue paying back the rent. The other topic I think should be looked at is having the Gardner neighborhood. In full disclosure, I'm moving, but I think the Gardner neighborhood is a great candidate to put buildings in, or at least higher buildings. Given the location, it's too good not to. So I'm not saying just Gardner, but I think we should look at rezoning more neighborhoods close to downtown. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like he had a special guest. Mr. Beekman is up next.
Hi, hello. The MTC, the Regional Bay Area Transit Agency, has to really want to develop their BAFA housing process in the next few years. They have to be willing to want to reorganize the current practices and bureaucracy at the state level. And they need to want to facilitate and connect this to some already well-developed ideas from local governments and local community advocacy. And in what can be important new concepts of VLI, ELI, and mixed income housing. CASA has been helping to facilitate and develop this thinking at the local level for the past few years now. Please refer to its 2019 review of housing ideas that is listed in one of your memos today. From debates in July and August about the overall future of the San Jose General Plan, and from Fremont to Redwood City, cities across 3 South Bay Area counties may be finding incredibly good ways to develop housing, equity, and the future of community with less use of a police department at this time. Our current questions of housing, community, mental health, policing, and the search for a more positive, genuine community sustainability are simply the ideas and ways we have already dedicated ourselves to pre-COVID-19. I feel this can be a part of the honest work in reimagining the future of this country and good steps to leave the era of COVID-19 in the next few years. Good luck in all your housing work, and thanks for this report a lot. I can't say enough my feelings about the MTC and what they're capable of doing at this time throughout the Bay Area, and how they can help the future of housing, and that we can be at a time to address VLI, ELI, and mixed income housing in slightly different terms than we have been. We have the tools to talk about it in different terms, and now hopefully in the next few months and years we can put that to good practical use now. Thank you.
Thank you. And it don't look like any of my colleagues have their hand up, so let me ask some of my questions. I really appreciate this report, Jared and team there. I am discouraged. It looks like we're not producing housing, whether fast enough. Our goals to achieve that 25,000 unit goal in the 5 years that the mayor had originally set out. I did present my own memo, which is coming to the Rules Committee this Wednesday, that can help us achieve at least the low income housing goals faster, Jared. And I'm hoping that you could take a look at that memo soon. And if we're doing a report, if we're doing an analysis on housing and you're going out to a report, I would love to know how all these regulations that we created on rent increase moratoriums and rent eviction moratoriums and all these displacement things have had an effect. I feel like I've talked to some housing producers, and I think that they, number one, all these regulations had a chilling effect on that, and number two, what I'd like to see is, I've heard anecdotally that a lot of people are moving out of the area, and how that is going to affect our overall goals. Or should we keep the same 25,000 unit goals if a whole mess of people are all leaving to, say, less tax states? I've been hearing a lot of people are moving to Arizona, Texas, Nevada. And so I'd like to know how, if anybody's analyzing, the decreasing. I think that there's going to be some decrease in our population because of some of this, being able to work from home, if you will, rather than having to drive to work. Is anybody looking into those issues?
I think it's a good question. I think it's maybe too soon to kind of know what the full extent of it will be. I mean, as I showed, vacancies definitely increased, but most of that's been driven by the vacancy increase in kind of the Class A newer apartments. If you kind of go Class B and below, the vacancy is still somewhat more steady, and the overall number is kind of really driven by those newer apartments. So I think it's kind of too soon to tell, and I don't know, how it affects San Jose might be different than, say San Francisco and some other cities, which I think have seen even more kind of vacancy and kind of folks maybe leaving. So I think, it's something we definitely want to understand and want to keep looking at, but I think it's a little too soon to know for sure how it plays out.
I could tell you that I have 2 apartment complexes right next to Almaden Lake. I mean, it's a great place to live, and they've had their vacancy signs up for months now, last couple of months, and now they have signs that say reduced cost on there. So, and these are like apartments with beautiful views of the lake, right next to transportation, light rail, right next to Oak Ridge Mall, walking distance. I mean, these are, and I cannot believe that they can't rent these places out. So I'm really puzzled about, and one of them is low income, and I don't think and even the low income ones were having to advertise. I thought for sure that there would be no issues filling those up because there's usually a waiting list. Anyway, I'm hoping that you can include that in a report coming back to the future. I know you're going to be doing, you're going out to get an analyst or in the future. So I'm hoping that you can include some of these questions on how all these regulations that we put together have affected the housing builders. Okay, let me go to my colleagues. Councilmember Jep.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question for, if you go back to Rachel's slide, or even if you can't, Rachel was talking about the pipeline and the number of housing that I guess was approved by planning. There was something else, and then an occupancy. And I was looking at that, and I just had a question about I guess the step process. So yeah, here we go. So units receiving development planning approvals, units receiving building permits, and then units receiving occupancy. Am I correct in understanding that you need to move through all 3 processes to get to occupancy? You need a planning approval to get a building permit to get an occupancy. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess my question then is, how do we get 81, let's say 81 affordable planning approvals in the top row, and then 146 building permits, and then 30 occupancy? Shouldn't the number get gradually smaller?
So for this chart, you have to go downward only. You can't go across. This is historical. So it's year over year. So we're not taking away units from the columns when they're moving on to the next stage. This is just the third slide that we showed accounted for that, and that was why it was the overall. So they're kind of two separate number.
Okay, all right. So then I won't mess everybody up with my question then. Sorry, not to add confusion to the already complex.
Well, and then just also to add on, so in 2018, if you had units coming in getting building permit, they may have gotten their entitlement before 2018. So which most of them probably did, because it can take a year or 2 for them to come through to the next step. So.
Okay, all right, understood. Thank you, Jared. I guess my broader question, I've already talked to staff about North San Jose and the complexities of that, so I won't get into that. But just to echo Councilmember Camus's concerns, given the downturn that we're facing now, and kind of the decreases in rent, what do we know about the appetite for building in San Jose? If we want to get more building, we got to get people in here, and now's a good time to build when things are slow and people can get loans at low interest rates. But if the rents aren't going to be there for folks once they build, how do we balance that incentive?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge right now is with the rents the way they are, it's going to be difficult for us to see new projects right now. It's also unclear at this point if construction costs have really come down at all. I've heard kind of mixed things. So I think that's why we really want to try to engage that consultant in 2021 to really understand where things are at, as we hopefully start to emerge from the pandemic, to see if there are things that we can do to try to, encourage new development, if there's things that we could change, and to have an understanding of what things are like then.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jared. That's all from me, Chair.
Great. Councilmember Jip, would you mind making a motion to accept the report?
Yes, move to accept the report.
Second.
Okay. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Esparza,
Yes.
Morales,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, staff. And we're going to move on to item number 3 on the agenda today. And that's the update on the affordable housing setting policy.
Great. Hi, I am Jackie Morales-Ferrand. I am the director of the housing department, and I'm joined here today by Rachel Vanderveen, who's our deputy director. And then we have 2 guests who will introduce themselves right after I do one slide. It's Dan Rinsler and Arthur Gales. And I just also wanted to mention that Kristen Clements, who oversees our policy team, is also joining us today. Next slide. So I know you all have been, some of you have been anxiously awaiting our new affordable housing siting policy. And we did want to give you an update today about our progress, which had been delayed as a result of the COVID-19 and the housing department's needed response to that. But we have made progress. We have selected a consultant team that's actually here today, and we'll give you an overview of what work they've managed to complete up to date. And then we're going to go over a timeline in which we hope to complete this entire project before the end of this fiscal year. So just reminding you what our goals are in terms of creating this siting policy. We want to create something that is consistent with our fair housing laws, both the federal and state. And then we want to find this balance. And the balance that we're trying to find is, as you know, we recently completed our anti-displacement work. And what we're hearing from residents of lower income neighborhoods is that as neighborhoods change and there's residential displacement, they want opportunities to remain in there. And so siting affordable housing in those locations is really critical. We also want to ensure that we're not putting a significant amount of affordable housing in lower income neighborhoods where we don't see any kind of displacement or any kind of change, where there might be an impact to those neighborhoods. And then finally, we also understand, and what much of the fair housing work has been on, is that we often see very little affordable housing in what we're calling higher opportunity neighborhoods, or neighborhoods that have better schools and for families can make a huge difference. And so the policy really is trying to balance all of those goals. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our consulting team, who are going to tell you more about them and the work they've accomplished over the summer.
Thank you, Jackie. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so thank you for that introduction, for having us. My name is Dan Rinsler. I'm a senior policy analyst for the California Housing Partnership, which is a private nonprofit created 32 years ago, and we are dedicated to creating and preserving affordable and sustainable homes for Californians with low incomes by providing financial policy solutions to nonprofit and public partners like the City of San Jose. Arthur, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dan, and likewise, thank you to the city for having us. My name is Arthur Gales. I'm a data scientist and economist at the Othering and Belonging Institute. We perform empirical research that is aimed at creating a fair and inclusive society for all of its members.
Thanks, Arthur. And as shown in this slide, our organizations are part of the state of California's Fair Housing Task Force, which was convened in 2017 and has been ongoing since then. Was convened to create and update the state's opportunity map, a screenshot of which is shown here, that different state housing funding agencies use to inform their siting policies and incentives related to the goal that Jackie mentioned of increasing access to opportunity-rich or high opportunity neighborhoods for low-income families across California. So we have a pretty deep background in this work. If we can go to the next slide. So our first task for the city was to answer a fundamental question posed by staff, which is how to balance different siting priorities related to affirmatively furthering fair housing. So more specifically, how should increasing access to opportunity-rich neighborhoods for low-income families, which is a priority for the city as well as for the state across its funding programs, how should that be balanced with other priorities such as preventing displacement in lower income communities of color that are now experiencing gentrification? And so to answer this question, the city asked us to review academic literature as well as what other cities across the country were doing in this area. And the following two slides summarize our findings from that first scan. And broadly, what we found is that there are no prescriptive solutions available off the shelf, as is typical with complex policy questions, but prioritization of siting priorities should depend on local contents, and there are some guideposts that the city can use in establishing those priorities based on the literature and the analysis that we will be completing this fall and winter for the city as part of our scope of work. So first, for the review of the literature, we picked out several themes that are shown here. First, neighborhoods have profound impacts on life outcomes. So this is the idea that the zip code can be as important as the genetic code, and that where you grow up can help explain and predict long-term outcomes, particularly for low-income families and children. So, the literature is clear, for example, that if a low-income child grows up in a neighborhood that has certain characteristics like low poverty rates, quality public schools, that child is more likely to attend college, climb the economic ladder than a child from a low-income family who grows up in a lower resource, higher poverty neighborhood. Worth noting that neighborhoods can also impact physical and mental health for adults, not just children. So there's experimental research showing that moving to a low poverty neighborhood can positively impact rates of diabetes and major depression for adults that are equivalent to the rates of success seen in the most successful clinical trials. So again, place matters, neighborhoods matter. Second, access to opportunity varies quite a bit by race and income. So studies have shown that in general, higher income people are more likely to live in opportunity-rich neighborhoods. That's probably not a surprise. However, race appears to be a larger determining factor than income in some cases in determining access to these types of neighborhoods. So for example, a study that we actually participated in on the entire Bay Area showed that even higher income Black and Latinx households were much less likely to live in opportunity-rich neighborhoods than low-income white and Asian households. Worth noting is that studies have also shown that when given the opportunity to move to a wider range of neighborhoods and to opportunity-rich neighborhoods in particular, many low-income families of color across race, ethnicity, and immigration status are interested in moving and are often quite satisfied when they get a chance to do so. The issue is often that there are barriers to those kinds of moves, and affordable housing programs typically haven't offered families these kinds of choices and opportunities, which relates to the next point, which is that studies have shown nationally and in California as a whole that affordable housing is typically concentrated in lower resource neighborhoods and has generally followed existing patterns of racial segregation and concentrated poverty. So in other words, affordable housing investments have not really aligned with the likely location preferences of many low-income families of color, nor with the broader policy goal of increasing access to opportunity and reversing patterns of segregation. So these are findings from broader studies. We will be assessing patterns in San Jose as part of our scope of work in assisting the city in establishing its own siting policy. So last point on this slide, if the goal is to live in a world where people from every income, race, and ethnicity have the same opportunities and resources no matter where they live, you need what is commonly referred to in the field as a both-and approach to this problem. So in the short term and on an ongoing basis, use affordable housing investments in land use and zoning changes to make it possible for more low-income people and people of color to live in areas that are already opportunity rich or are in the process of becoming so due to gentrification. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that there's demand for more choices and that increasing choices will help stop generational cycles of poverty and increase economic mobility. But not everybody wants to move, and you're still faced with the problem of inequality of resources and opportunity across neighborhoods. And correcting this imbalance should, as a matter of principle, relate not just to the question of where to site affordable housing, but also where and how to target a broader set of policies and investments beyond housing, like education, social supports, youth services, transportation, employment programs. The city can't do this all on its own, but it's what would generally be required to sort of change the broader landscape of neighborhood inequality. Next slide. So our review of 13 cities that were identified by city staff and our consultant team revealed that actually very few cities have established siting priorities along the lines of what San Jose is considering here, where there's an overarching policy that establishes goals or investment rules relating to different locational siting priorities. So in other words, San Jose is asking questions intended to form its own siting policy that few, if any, cities have actually answered. That said, we did identify 3 cities, Albuquerque, Austin, Texas, and Washington, D.C., that have models that may be useful for the city of San Jose to consider. Each of their approaches appears to be a reflection of local priorities. So in Albuquerque, the need for affordable housing in high opportunity areas. In Austin, a desire to equally balance multiple siting priorities, or in DC, a desire to equalize housing affordability in each planning district, rather than an assessment of the degree to which local housing patterns reflect an imbalance with respect to different AFFH siting priorities. So in other words, these 3 cities provide useful models, but none appear to have established siting priorities based on the type of analysis that the city has asked us to complete as part of our scope of work, which we think will help the city establish priorities for San Jose that are both evidence-based and tailored to local context. So, to wrap up this slide, our recommendation, which was made to staff, is to use broader lessons from the literature, such as that children of low-income families across racial and ethnic groups have better outcomes in opportunity-rich neighborhoods, and that there is probably unmet demand among those families to move to those types of areas, along with analysis that we will be completing in subsequent tasks this fall and winter, such as the degree to which affordable housing in the city and patterns of racial and economic concentration diverge from the geography of opportunity-rich neighborhoods in the city. So that is analysis that's ongoing, and I'm now going to hand off to Arthur Gales, who will cover some of that analysis that we've already started.
Thank you, Dan. As Dan mentioned, the first task involved us looking or taking a survey of cities around the country and finding out what their policies were. The next 2 tasks of an 8-task work plan involved us collecting data on socioeconomic factors within the city, market rate housing, and affordable housing within the city's boundaries. We focused on several different geographic boundaries throughout the city so that we could inform different levels of the policy, which include the census block group and tract, also city council districts and urban villages. We have evaluated over 24 different socioeconomic indicators and mapped them for the staff so that we can overlay those indicators with housing siting as it exists, what's in the pipeline, and also market rate housing. With that information, we will then, in our upcoming tasks, evaluate the state's opportunity map for California tax credit allocations, and also overlay that with important citywide data, including but not limited to transit and displacement. As we continue forward in the project, we will use the data that we have collected both on the economic status of people within the city, housing policy and opportunity areas, and use that to inform an empirically based policy with which we will assign or hopefully assign affordable housing in the future.
Okay, back to staff. So, as you can see, we are planning to go to the full council with this report on November 10th. We're then going to go out and do some community listening sessions to better understand both people who actually live and have a desire to be in affordable housing and where they want to go, and then neighborhoods as well. I think there is this difference in terms of approach in terms of who are we trying to create the policy in terms of addressing their needs. And so, again, listening to people who need affordable housing and what their needs are, and then our residents as well. So we plan to take some of the work then in the spring to the Housing Community Development Commission for their initial feedback. After we get their feedback, we will then come back to City Council with a fully formed policy for your consideration. And with that, we are available for questions.
Thank you. And before I go to my council colleagues, let me go to the public, and we'll start with Blair Beekman.
Hi, thank you for this item. You know, I'm so geared, you know, that housing should be inclusive, and I'm always considering how low and very low and extremely low needs to be part of everyday housing. My speech on my last item, I should have done it for this one. I'm very sorry I didn't, but you know, the way my thinking is to very much what I just described, and so it really belongs on this item. So thank you for this item. I mean, you're really describing, you know, the issues of defunding and the future of equity and community and policing and all of that stuff. And this is what we're here for. And it's imaginative and it's creative and it's hopeful. You know, yeah, I mean, it's really, this is how we think, you know, in different ways to develop our future. And I just hope, you know, you put your hearts into this, and thank you for the community process you'll be having in the springtime. Like what I've described before, you know, the MTC, the Transit Agency of the Bay Area, they're looking for help how to define, you know, their future. And like the housing group CASA Housing Advocacy, they're important to the South Bay. And, you know, what the MTC can learn from that whole process is how to develop different funding patterns from the state level and how to distribute that and create better patterns of distribution among the local areas. And the MTC, you know, they're questioning it themselves at this time. How can they be a better facilitator of that between state and local level housing issues? So, you know, there's hopeful things on the horizon. Both Fremont and Redwood City are doing some interesting things in housing I recommend to look at, and it's to address equity. And just good luck to yourselves, and always count on the everyday community. Really ask their advice and opinion. That always really can help. Thanks.
All right, our next speaker is a phone number ending in 5140.
Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you now. Can you try it again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, this Zoom and phone system, you guys really need to improve it. I just want to thank Scott Hughes for giving me the right code to key in to be able to call this meeting. It's really been a problem. But I'm going to speak on the issue of there shouldn't be low-income housing in my neighborhood. I'm sorry. It wasn't built that way. Single family dwelling, and it's if you want to do low income housing, find a new swath of land and build favelas or something. I don't know, maybe in the hillside. I'm not, you know what? Maybe we can make it like it's Brazil. I mean, we can build favelas in the hillside because there just isn't any room in my neighborhood for parking or anything else. Which, by the way, parking control 2 times in one day. They're cruising up and down my cul-de-sac for what? In the middle of suburbia America. And you guys want to pack more houses into suburbia America, make it more dense, less parking? No, it's not going to work. I mean, all these failing strip malls after COVID, maybe make them rezone it and have build a cement housing blocks like they do in Europe. The ones that look like they used to call them crew chefs. That's what you guys need to build. You can pack a bunch of people in, and we can have COVID and plagues year after year. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but do you think that someone's going to live in a neighborhood and instantly they're going to get rid of their drug habits and they're going to become upstanding citizens? You do that on your own. You know what you do if you're living in a terrible place? That's the incentive to get out and do better for yourself. But no, you guys want to social engineer this whole thing and put people into neighborhoods that they can't afford. Doctors can't afford to live in Palo Alto anymore, who perform emergency room surgery because they have to live close to the hospitals there. They can't afford that.
Thank you. Our next speaker is, I have it as Antonia. And I think they have a presentation. I have it as number 1, Antonia.
Correct. In this case, we have 5 speakers who are going to speak in sequence.
That's fine. Can you bring them up in sequence so I don't have to call each one?
Yeah. So Mike Jones, Mike, can you let them know when each person's 2 minutes is up? And then Mike has their presentation up here, and he'll flip through the presentation.
Thank you very much, Kim.
Can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear
go
me?
Ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is Antonina, and good afternoon, committee members. Thank you for listening to us. We are a group of residents who support the siting policy. Next slide, please. There are a couple of objectives we want to accomplish. First, we want to work with the city to adopt the policy requiring equitable dispersion of affordable and supportive housing and the related services throughout all the City of San Jose districts. Second, we want to require the city's reviewers and decision makers to consider the density of affordable and supportive housing as part of the review and approval process to prevent overconcentration. Next slide, please. I've been emphasizing affordable and supportive because there's a distinction between these housing projects. Affordable is your ELF, VLF, LF housing for families, adults, and seniors. Supportive are the facilities with the wraparound services to address homelessness, mental health issues, addiction, disabilities, and such. Next slide, please. This map, as of September 2019, shows the concentration of these types of housing in the city. Green for affordable, red for supportive. Next slide, please. This table gives the data behind the map. More than 50% of the affordable and supportive housings are in District 3, 6, and 7. Next slide, please. Another look at the data, excuse me, shows supportive housing units, the ones with the special population. As you can see, the bulk of these housing units are in District 3, 6, and 7. The next slide, please, and Lance will be speaking next.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my name is Lance Shoemaker, and our concern is something that the city itself recognizes, and this is a quote from the staff memo that accompanied today's presentation, which is that historically affordable housing siting patterns have been concentrated in certain areas, which reinforce existing patterns of racial segregation and concentrated poverty. Next slide. This concern is not just in San Jose. This is a quote from the journal Zoning Practice from 2010, which is published by the American Planning Association. And this article was looking at the concentration of services for homeless individuals and found that the concentration of services and facilities for the chronically homeless and synergy of problem behaviors can overwhelm the carrying capacity of a neighborhood. Next slide. For example, this is my neighborhood. I live in the 400 block of North 3rd Street in the Hensley Historic District. Within a quarter mile of my house are 279 affordable units and 83 supportive units. For example, I live next door to the Heritage Home, a home for unwed mothers. I live less than a half block away from the Salvation Army, which provides 78 beds for homeless men. I live a half block away from Villas on the Park, which is 83 supportive units. I live 2 short blocks away from the Kelsey Project, which is approved but not yet built, housing for disabled people and affordable housing. I live 3 blocks away from Casa de Clara, which is a social service provider providing services to the homeless on site. And as you can also see, I live near a number of affordable housing projects. Additionally, the next supportive housing project that PATH will be developing in the city is proposed for approximately a mile from my house. The question is, how did so many services and affordable housing projects get concentrated in such a small area? And what we're striving to see is to see these spread throughout the city instead of, in a relatively small geographic area. Next slide, please, and I'll pass that on.
All right, Cindy, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Our group has 5 recommendations to be considered for a robust siting policy. And these recommendations closely align with the research findings from the consultants hired to develop a policy for San Jose. First, our first recommendation is to encourage economic and racial diversity by building all types of housing, from the very low income supportive housing to market rate luxury in all resource areas, because neighborhoods do matter, and we do need to end the disparities that have characterized our current housing policies for the past 50 years. Higher resource areas are missing the ethnic and economic diversity in indigenous communities, and the lower resource areas are missing out on the economic and social vibrancy that comes with increased economic needs. Next slide, please. Our second recommendation is to support communities. This is well aligned to the number 5 research finding of ending place-based disparities. We need to ensure that the mistakes done at Downer Lofts and Villas on the Park are avoided by building in good neighbor policies to identify and mitigate potential problems and empower neighborhood stakeholders and future residents of the housing, so that we move from crisis intervention mode to a cohesive, thriving neighborhood. Next slide, please. Our third recommendation aligns with the 4th research finding that affordable housing patterns have followed existing patterns of racial segregation and concentrated poverty. We need to address the fiscal solvency of lower resource areas where nonprofits are resulting in lost revenue, meaning that services and infrastructure funding is lost when the very nature of the clients served in these housing facilities require greater services and support. Victoria will be speaking next.
Go ahead, Victoria. Victoria, if you can unmute.
Oh, thank you. Victoria Takeda. Our 4th recommendation is to monitor the cumulative impact of the carrying capacity of a community must never be overwhelmed. Next slide. As an example of an existing neighborhood's carrying capacity was given by Lance Shoemaker of the Hensley Historic Neighborhood. Here we find the entire array of supportive, affordable housing the city developed over time, all located in a half-mile radius, reaching a saturation point for this neighborhood's carrying capacity. At the time, the city did not monitor the concentration as facilities were proposed and sites approved and developed. With a siting policy plan that monitors the cumulative impacts, neighborhoods will not undergo this level of saturation in the future. The city must consider the impact of all facilities in the vicinity of a community when planning any new developments. Next slide. Our fifth recommendation is to ensure the allocation of resources. Just Friday, Governor Newsom, viewing a transitional housing site with our mayor, stated that the importance of funding support services to guarantee the health and welfare of residents and the community in our efforts to house our most vulnerable citizens. To ensure funding, the city must collaboratively work with the county to maintain direct and indirect services for the dependents and the surrounding community. These include services that impact existing community services like police, library, green space, education, while other services support the residents in the area of physical and mental health and life skills training. The success of these facilities and its residents is dependent upon the constant and continual funding of services, even as budgets fluctuate. And the next speaker is Tina.
Go ahead, Tina.
Hello, I hope everybody can hear me. I'm Tina Morrill, and I'm just going to summarize the key points that we would like to incorporate into the siting policy. So encouraging diversity, neighborhoods do matter, and the housing that's going into neighborhoods should reflect this. 2, support communities. Good neighbor policies both strengthen and support a community. 3, address fiscal solvency. Again, neighborhoods matter, and neighborhoods require steady funding streams to support the growing demands on infrastructure from these housing developments. 4, monitor cumulative impacts to the community. A siting policy that requires cumulative impacts be considered helps ensure for everyone an equitable and thriving community. And 5, ensure allocation of resources. So the city and county have a symbiotic relationship when it comes to structures and their services. And we know that budgets fluctuate. Knowing that means the city and county can plan for the promised resources being available. Next slide, please. So we believe that homelessness and the affordable and supportive housing crisis, they are city-wide issues, and the efforts to address the problems need to be addressed through city-wide solutions. Next slide. These are the sources of our data, in case you'd like to refer back to any of them. Next slide. And this is our group. As you can see, we have quite a mix of neighborhoods within District 3 who have been working collaboratively together to try to get good recommendations for a siting policy. And next slide. That is it. We're available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think is there any more? I don't think I have any more speakers. Let me go to our council. We'll start with Councilmember Perales.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to staff, actually, and I really appreciate the presentation from our consultant. I'm excited that we're finally kind of moving along. Sorry, my son's excited over here as well. So I'm obviously excited with the progress here. It has been some time coming, several years. I've been kind of clamoring for this work to advance, and again, although I've been impatient, obviously it's certainly exciting again to see the progress. I also want to mention that I'm really appreciative of the work from my constituents, the presentation that you all just saw, and I know across the city, and then also just across the county, and certainly throughout the whole region and everywhere really where the opportunities for affordable housing and specifically permanent supportive housing come up. there is no doubt always some visceral reactions and what we commonly refer to as NIMBY attitudes of people that want to argue as to why particular affordable housing should not be located in their neighborhoods. And I want to say thank you to my constituents for really taking the time as they have to dive in and invest some energy into this topic. We've had numerous discussions about it, and for them to understand really what some of the challenges are, why we have sort of gotten into some of the predicaments that we are in, understanding the inequities that are across the system, understanding the realities that we do need to be building affordable housing of all levels, including permanent supportive housing, but that we need to be doing so in all of our communities across the board. And when you look at the historical development of really any type of affordable housing, but predominantly as you get to the deeper levels of affordability, you see high concentrations in particular areas, and mostly lower income areas or low resourced areas, as the report pointed out. And you see almost none, and sometimes none in more affluent areas or high resourced areas. And I think that is certainly not the direction that we want to keep going. That's something that came to my knowledge several years ago on just how disproportionate it was, how inequitable it was, and then as I've been in office, helping to champion a lot of these affordable housing projects, and taking a number of lumps for doing so throughout the district. And one of the things that I have set out to do is just to ensure that we won't stop doing that. We won't stop building affordable housing within the city, but we need to start doing so more equitably. And we need to be able to see that from our policies all the way on down to our practices. And so I'm looking forward to this work moving forward, getting input from the community across the board, but ultimately, in the end of the day, looking forward to my colleagues being able to to step up where need be and put the right policies in place, so that way we can actually make good on some of the commitments that we have all made as a council, that have stated that we want to be able to build some of these solutions across the city, and throughout all districts and all neighborhoods. But then when push comes to shove, and in practice, we see that that's not always the case on what gets supported. And so I'm looking forward to it again, the work and being able to move this forward. And thanks for the report, and I'll move approval.
Second.
Thank you. And thank you for the motion and second. We'll go on to Councilmember Esparza.
Thank you. I wanted to thank the team for putting this together. I think it's very timely to have these discussions right now, particularly as the Association of Bay Area Governments and MTC and the state talk about RENA allocations. And I know at EBAG, we just took a vote along, my colleague, Councilmember Perales, was also there on how to take a more equitable approach to housing goals. And I know one of the discussions that we had was around how to, in taking that approach, to mitigate displacement and to really kind of figure out a more equitable approach as we talk about all of our housing goals. And at ABAG, we had a discussion for the first time. There were, affordable housing allocations along with that, which was, I think, an important conversation to have as we have sort of equity built into the region, that we have these same discussions around equity in San Jose. And a lot of this is the same stuff. I mean, we know that these are issues, right? The biggest predictor of health is what zip code you live in. And we're learning that now with COVID. For people that didn't know it before, now they might really know it now that we're in the middle of a pandemic. And we have folks who are living in overcrowded living conditions because of a housing crisis. So yes, we need to build housing. We need to build housing, more housing, particularly housing at an affordable level, and particularly at extremely low income where the discrepancies are greatest. I wanted to kind of, before I talked more, read off a few of the questions that we had the last time this came to this committee. I believe it was last fall, but they were questions that I thought were really helpful. It was in the housing presentation. Yes, it was November 5th when this came to this committee last. And there were the questions that we asked ourselves were, what types of neighborhoods should we develop affordable housing in? What are the characteristics? Are some neighborhoods too fragile to sustain even a small increase in the number of households living in poverty? And what are the measurements, the percentage of poverty and race? And what factors should we consider for the residents of affordable housing? What income, very low or extremely low, and what percentage of the development? And what other characteristics should we consider to demonstrate that a neighborhood is changing? So these were some of the questions that we asked ourselves almost a year ago. And this presentation was touched on some of that. I still think we have some more work to do. And I look forward into digging into Albuquerque, Austin, and DC myself. But I wanted to speak as a representative of District 7, where the imbalance is greatest, where District 7 has the largest number of ELI units in the city and the smallest number of market rate units. And I know my colleague, Councilmember Foley, understands this as a former school board member, right? Like, we get those connections between schools and school funding and the real estate market, to be honest, right? And a lot of folks don't kind of understand, they don't make those automatic connections the way we might. And that's a big issue. It is an issue. I know Franklin McKinley School District has never maximized bond spending because of that. And there are other state restrictions on how you spend your bonds, but it's a big issue. And so I wanted to bring that up because a lot of folks aren't aware of those things. They aren't aware of what the impacts, the social impacts of such a huge imbalance like the one that exists in District 7, the impacts that makes on things like education. There are other impacts in communities. And so I'm happy to see access to opportunity-rich neighborhoods. I'm happy to see that. I think the finding of ending place-based disparities requiring a both and approach of really offering opportunities throughout the city. And might I add, I know we're the city of San Jose, but my colleague Councilmember Peralez and I sit on the Unhoused Task Force, and we find ourselves reminding our colleagues in Santa Clara County that this is also a county-wide responsibility, not just San Jose or not just any one city. But that we, as we look at equitably dispersing much needed affordable housing, that we also look at the city in terms of where we answer those questions that we asked ourselves last fall is, you know, what types of neighborhoods, right? And what are too fragile, and what is needed in these neighborhoods that we as a city say, hey, we have a level of service that we will offer all neighborhoods in San Jose. And maybe that means investing more in some neighborhoods. Maybe it means it's spreading other opportunities throughout other neighborhoods in the city. And that it's time to do that. So I had some questions about the milestones and timetable. So in terms of listening sessions with the community of January through March, we are still in a pandemic. I know, for example, in my community, we've had to actually hold some in-person, socially distanced meetings to address some issues of violence and things that were really urgent. So we needed to go out there physically. But we are still in a pandemic. And what are you thinking in terms of those listening sessions? Who are you targeting, and how do you see that playing out? Is that a question for Jackie or Rachel? I'm not sure who.
I can jump in. So basically what we are doing is we're going to be working with the consultant team to think through this. So we're definitely thinking along as we go. And I definitely think that there's an opportunity to do a couple different types of listening sessions. So one would be a Zoom format if the people who we're trying to reach out to would feel comfortable with that. Another would be to actually set up and go into the community and hold with limited participation and, you know, understanding how many people are going to be there, a socially distant conversation. So I think that based on who the target population is of the listening session, we would like to tailor the format to that group.
Thank you. That's helpful. And I appreciate that. I know that everybody, you know, we're all kind of trying to balance different things, but there are some places like in District 7 where that digital divide, and also we have digital deserts. And Zoom has been a real challenge for communities like mine. And I know it's a challenge for everyone. I would encourage you also to work with schools as much as possible. I think they're a really good connector no matter what part of the city you're trying to reach. I think schools are, you know, we always talk about the city being the town square. Maybe I talk about the city being the town square. Like people come to us, whether it's a city or county or state or federal issue, because we're there, but schools are probably closer to a lot of folks than we are. And they're also kind of trying to do a combination of in-person and digital. And I know a lot of school districts are kind of trying to figure out how they're going to handle school in January. And so that might be an option. And then I had a question on then, so we're going to have the listening sessions with the community, and then we're going to produce the administrative and final draft reports in March 2021, and then another series of public meetings. Are you, how are you envisioning those public meetings for input? Is that in every council district, or is that in zones, or how do you picture that?
I think it really it's really going to be dependent upon where we are with COVID in terms of how easy or hard it is for us to do the outreach. You know, we've certainly learned a lot about outreach over the last 2 years. And so I think as we get closer to trying to figure out who's most impacted by this policy, we'll try to ensure that we're really getting out to those particular groups. Impacted, it could mean by neighborhood, right? The neighborhoods that have either felt like they're concentrated, or neighbors who feel like, oh gosh, there's very little opportunity. I mean, I think one of the things we haven't said very clearly during this presentation, but I feel like a need to say is that as we're talking about creating these affordable housing opportunities everywhere, as Dan had mentioned, you have to have the right zoning general plan in place, because if we don't have those areas, don't allow for multifamily zoning buildings in areas of opportunity, or they're not growth areas, we're going to be very challenged. We can have a policy, but it's just not going to work, because the opportunity, which is created by the general plan and the zoning, don't afford us areas where we can actually build. So anyway, going back to your question, we're going to see where we're at with COVID. That greatly impacts the challenges of what we do, but we certainly are going to be very mindful of the need to get this kind of range of voices back.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm happy to also work with the team on, if any of that is in District 7, I'm happy to partner on that. And thank you for reminding me about that, because I think that's a really, the comment that you just made, kind of amplifying Ann's comment about zoning and general plan. And this is also another frustration, is that as the city moves forward, sometimes the left hand is not connected with the right hand. And we have, we're in a 4-year general plan update. And this is the time to make those connections as we look at where traditionally multifamily zoning is. And has this presentation been made to the 4-year general plan task force?
It has not. So there hasn't been necessarily, I mean, the housing department has been thinking about, oh my gosh, this absolutely is impacted by the work that the planning department does. And, it hasn't been on their agenda, right? So the city council sets the agenda of different items that they can talk about. So the level of multifamily that we would need is much different than what they have been discussing. So they have talked about, and I don't want to say these words because I don't want to get everybody escalated here, but they've talked about very limited densification for opportunity housing, which is 4plexes. And obviously we're talking about much greater densities for the type of housing that we do to create the kinds of opportunities we need for low income and extremely low income households. So, to get us on that agenda, it's a whole completely different process. So Kim turned her video on, so maybe she has something more to add.
Sorry, I needed a snack. Confess. Yeah, so I think it's the responsibility of our community and economic development CSA to start having those conversations across departments, which we do every week, and we've started it on this. Yeah, the scope of the general plan 4-year review is set by the council, but that doesn't mean, as staff, we can't have conversations and consider bringing forward recommendations or putting things on agendas where that's appropriate.
Thank you. And particularly as these goals are set region-wide, I think it gives us another opportunity to talk about it as a city when we look at zoning and placement of housing, including affordable housing, to provide the type of density that frankly is going to come whether we want it to or not, right? So we need to kind of figure out as a city where that density is going to go, both for market rate and affordable housing. Okay, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Actually, council member, I just wanted to chime in to your question. This is Kristen Clements with the housing department, and I appreciate your questions about outreach and how this initiative kind of blends in or could be coordinated with some other items. And I've been thinking as you're talking, this really is kind of close to our work on the assessment of fair housing that's going to be forthcoming about, assessing kind of what are barriers and what are the needs in different communities across different neighborhoods across the city. And we kind of put that a little bit on hold due to COVID, but your comments were right on par with the assessment of our housing work that we're going to be coming back to about, is there a base level of service for all neighborhoods for infrastructure purposes? So I just wanted to reflect that as we do public outreach, we could also be asking some questions that will benefit that AFH work as well. And then I wanted to say one other thing, which is our anti-displacement, our citywide strategy. One thing that it has in there was we wanted to do more analysis on the urban villages and the places that we know we can do denser development, just take a look at where that IP policy 512 is being used. That does let affordable housing go in before market rate housing goes forward. It seems to be underutilized. And so that might be another way that we can use those areas that are slated for denser development now, but they may not be seeing as much dense development yet, in order to access areas of the city that aren't quite seeing affordable there now. But it doesn't mean that we couldn't be encouraging those areas to move forward in new and different ways. And so that was what that strategy was about on our anti-displacements citywide strategy platform. That's exactly the analysis I wanted to tie into here to see if we can get into different neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead.
Yeah, Pam, I see you're next on the Councilmember Camus is probably getting us
Councilmember
back
Camus.
to.
So I'll just go ahead and first, I want to thank the community for your presentation on the siting policy, and I wondered if we might be able to get a hold of the slide deck. It was really valuable to me, and I wasn't able to take notes quick enough. If it's already in our presentation or our packet somewhere, I'm sorry I missed it, but if we could have that, that would be great. I really believe that affordable housing should be in every district. Dan, can you pull up the picture that shows the distribution of affordable housing throughout the district? Please. Don't mean to demand you. I should ask you politely.
I think.
And the reason I want him to show this is because some may think that District 9 doesn't have any affordable housing, that we're all single family owner occupied residents. But when I saw the slide as you went through it really quickly, Dan, I saw that District 9 was towards the middle of affordable housing, and that made me happy. I firmly believe all districts should share in affordable housing, but it should not just be a random placement. As Jackie said, zoning has to conform to zoning, but I would also add that it needs to conform to transit corridors. If we're putting in high density, we need to make sure that folks who are living in those higher density, taller buildings are able to get around more easily. And unfortunately, in District 9 and District 10 and some other districts, we don't have really good transit. So we need to put pressure on our local representatives to make sure we have better transit, bus systems, etc. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to build affordable housing. You've got affordable housing where no one's going to move into because they won't be able to get to their works. Thank you. Actually, not this one, the one that lists the numbers, but thank you. The numbers of affordable housing units for the different council districts.
That was in the presentation made by the community.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, thank you. But what I saw was, and I was pleased to see it, that District 9 was not towards the top, obviously, but it was in the middle. And that made me proud to know that District 9 already has affordable housing. And I do have one project coming in where the developer is using AB 2162 to build affordable housing and supportive housing. So the community actually had a comment, and I wanted to ask Councilmember Perales, if I may. They indicated there's a problem with villas on the park. Can you share that with me now, or maybe offline? What the concerns are in the community?
Yeah, I'm happy to share offline, but in a brief statement, there have been concerns with some of the activities happening outside of the building. There have been some residents within the building that have had some incidents, and I think it's no different than some other newer housings that we see, especially within the first year of housing somebody that's been on the street for 15 plus years with drug, alcohol, mental illness issues. So it doesn't seem to be anything out of the normal, but unfortunately, obviously, as it's been a challenging year, we're working through those with them, and that's why we do have good neighbor policies, and we do meet monthly with the residents, or excuse me, with the nearby residents and PATH, the operators there of Villas in the Park. But happy to follow up offline as well.
That'd be great. I really appreciate the comments about the concentration of developments and that we should take into consideration different developments and how they will impact current developments and current communities. I think all of us are seeing some level of development in our communities, and we need to make sure it doesn't impact traffic anymore or to a greater effect, or if it does, we have mitigation for those put in place. But I really appreciate the two reports. I look forward to the report coming to council and the outreach that we're going to make to the different communities, and that we spread our opportunities to offer input far and wide. There are NIMBYs, of course, but there are also YIMBYs, people who want these kind of developments. They're in their backyards. We do have to be careful. The neighborhoods, if they're single stories, if there's a tall building going up next to them, they may object to that, and we might object to that too. So we have to be thoughtful and careful about how we do that. But it is important that we build more housing. We are going, the only way, we saw the numbers earlier in the housing crisis work plan, we're nowhere near to meeting our goals. The only way we're going to meet our goals is to perhaps loosen the development guidelines, changing the commercial restriction on the 1.5 acres that was mentioned earlier, and allow more affordable housing to be built. But we must be thoughtful, and we must engage our community as much as possible. So I'm supportive of this coming forward. I've said that many times publicly, that I support affordable housing and supportive housing, and we need to make sure that we do have the funding that goes and the partnership that goes with the supportive housing services that is provided by the county and other providers. So with that I conclude my comments. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I'd just like to clarify, we will be posting the community members' presentation with the other materials for this item.
Wonderful, thank you, Kim.
Thank you. And I also, I want to echo some of the thanks and some of the concerns that my colleagues have expressed. Councilmember Pam Foley, thank you for taking over in a pinch. I had somebody at the door. You know, working from home is a little tough sometimes, and nobody was answering the door. So, in any case, I wanted to, really thank Maya for her thoughts on, and the county does need to step up and do more. The San Jose cannot be the solution for the entire region's problems. And I wish I could see some houses going up in Mountain View and Santa Clara and Cupertino, and some of these folks that are continuing to build in, bringing businesses one after the other and not building housing. I think that a lot of these cities depend on San Jose, quite frankly, to house some of the population, and low income and any other populations, and high income too. I also don't want everybody to think that, that, for example, District 10 is against housing. I've authorized the first 5-story building on Gallup, and then we're going forward. Gallup Mesa, I don't know, and shovel never seems to get into the ground. It's been authorized for about 3 or 4 years now, and then the newest one along light rail. I think that this is very important. What Pam Foley brought up was it has to be somewhere where transportation is. And so I'm very supportive of a 300-unit complex, 6 stories on Blossom Hill Road near in a light rail station parking lot where 100 units are going to be affordable. And so, but my concern is often a lot of these projects take a long time to go from approval or even funding approval into fruition and opening a ribbon cutting. I've presented several ideas, and I'm hoping staff one day will act on them. I've even presented a memo that's on this rules committee that I really hope that we can get staff support behind, because it is a way to provide low-income housing, not supportive housing, but low-income housing in the future, and do it more equitably and in every district possible. I noticed that District 8 doesn't have much opportunities there. And I agree with that we do have to have some dispersion of these, but caution, you can't build, you can't exactly build it on the hilltops of Silver Creek because there's no way that people can get in and out of the area. So so it has to be sensible where we're locating the housing, not just the plan can't just be dispersion for dispersion's sake. It has to make financial and sense on the density, as Jackie announced. It has to be dense enough, and you can't put density everywhere. I know that in my district, I've had a community meeting recently on Zoom where the whole discussion was about the proposal to do fourplexes by right in single-family homes, and people are up in arms about that idea. So it's going to take a lot of convincing. I hope you do get into the communities in my district and get their take on things. I think there's a lot of fear in densification, and I'm hoping also that with Councilmember Raul talking about how these new projects tend to have hiccups, that builds a reputation in, quite frankly. And if we don't have good operators, we're not going to get people willingness from the public to accept more units in their districts or in their neighborhoods. So that's the end of my comments. I appreciate the staff's report on this, and I'm looking forward to seeing it November 10th, right, Kim?
Yes, that's correct. We have a variety of housing items on November 10th, including the two that you heard this afternoon.
Okay, wonderful. With that being said, I think there's already a motion and a second, and so I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Esparza,
Yes.
Peralez,
Aye.
Yep,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Camus.
Aye.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And that takes us to the open forum. And it looks like we have a couple of hands up. We'll start with a phone number ending in 5140.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Please
good. Good. Well, this system is so terrible. Open forum today for me is how bad Zoom and the telephone number that you have to call into. Today I had another problem that happens, I don't know, not about every other week, and it's unacceptable. You guys need to test the phone number and the code before you post it. Sometimes I think things get cut and pasted. I don't know, but it is not acceptable to not be able to call in. Zoom does not work for me. I've tried every which way. We all know Zoom is terrible. It's not very good. I don't know why you guys use it. But once again, Pam Foley's staff came through for me and helped me, call in. I appreciate that, but I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to do this every other week, and I shouldn't have to have Zoom. So you guys need to not only fix Zoom and these phone numbers, but fix the roads and the potholes and everything else that's wrong with this city. But no, you guys want to cram more people in here. Hey, if you're going to move some poor people into my neighborhood, maybe they'll feel right at home with bad roads and electricity that goes out from PG&E because of the microgrid. Okay, but in the meantime, the easiest thing you can do is test out the Zoom phone numbers and test the security code, because it's unacceptable for this. And secondly, I'm sick and tired of seeing parking enforcement driving up and down my cul-de-sac, looking for people, looking for violators of people who lived on that street for over 50 years. These are nice homes. People don't park incorrectly, and it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars. Your city, all you people who represent San Jose, when you call the police or fire department, it takes forever for them to come out. There's a house that burned down.
Our next caller is Mr. Beekman.
Hi, thank you. Thanks a lot for the meeting today. The November 10th date to bring the previous item back, it's a very interesting idea. It'll bring the idea of unity, community unity, I think. Good luck in how you can work on its efforts. To offer a few additional thoughts on housing, it seems the housing forgiveness intentions of AB 3088 has left ourselves short in some places for the next few years. As San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo has politely warned recently, we may be headed for another foreclosure and recession crisis in the next few years. We have to learn to be open and better trust the funding and financial systems being developed at the state level around COVID-19 issues, and learn how to better develop AB 3088 as the COVID-19 virus itself seems it will take a couple more years to wane. I hope everyone is practicing how to be safe and well in this current recent wave of COVID-19 cases. And with that in mind, although I try to keep out my personal partisan feelings in my speeches to local government about the good reasoning of how technology and surveillance can be a combined open effort of the entire community, I think Joe Biden and the Democratic Party administration at the national level can very much help develop both conservative and progressive good choices for the funding and financial issues at the state level that will be needed for the next few years with these housing ideas and needs and recession needs. And also, he can help with a sense of unity, organization, and good practices at the domestic level. These are forms of good reasoning and its organization that can bring peace and good practices and good thinking at the local level that I hope can then help develop a peaceful world that, as I try to talk about here often, what I'm trying to work towards. So thanks for your efforts today, and happy fall and good luck into the election time. Thank you.
All right, it looks like that's the end of the meeting. Thank you all for joining.